take it seriously. Because I'm meant to join you in pretending
No, but this is the thing.
hot.
This show is meant to be laid back. It's meant to be relaxed. You get what I mean? You're meant to enjoy yourself. Join us. Grab a mug. Do you know what I mean? Right, while we're here, welcome to episode 3 of your favourite show. Nope, I'm out. This is your favourite show where we encourage you to give it up. Not give it up. Why have I said that? Why have I said that? Because you lot put that in my head yesterday again.
Everyone I know was changing jobs or stepping off the career ladder.
3.6 million Americans quit their
It's all
jobs.
because of the so-called Great Resignation.
Great resignation.
I know what I want out of my career. Might as well just make the move.
41% of the world's working population is planning to switch this
One
year.
in 3 employees are considering leaving their
More
job.
than 4 million workers quit their jobs.
Should you consider quitting too?
Welcome to your favourite show. Nope, I'm out. This is your show where we encourage you to give up. We quite literally inspire you to throw in the towel, and hopefully you'll quit your job, experience, or whatever situation is just not serving you at the moment. Right now, I've got my good friend and guest. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Ayo. I'm Debs' friend.
Okay, lovely. That is the most important qualification, actually. So, let's just dive right into it. Actually, no. Let's play a quick game. So I'm going to pick a topic, a random topic, and I'm going to pick a random letter. This is a random letter. I promise you haven't thought about it before.
How's it random? How do you know it's random?
Okay, pick a random letter. Someone behind the camera can
How
pick
do we know that's random?
I haven't spoken to them.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
I believe you.
Why? Oh, wow. That's difficult. I'm just going to pick a topic, basically, and we have to go back and forth with that letter, basically. So, food, and I'm going to start right now. And I'm just going to time how long it takes you to go, and I will rank all the other guests as well. And I'm giving
Why?
I am kind of giving you time right now as I bring up my clock to think. Okay, 3, 2, oh, hold on. 3, 2, 1, go.
Do I start or do you start?
Yam.
Yellow peppers.
That is an absolute no. We're not going to be doing that.
What do you mean?
No, we're not going to do that. Like, you can have yellow anything. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Wait, what
Like,
other food
we're
starts
not
with
gonna
Y?
You didn't even last 10 seconds.
No, what other food starts with Y?
Yam chips.
Are you being serious? So you're going to say yam chips, yam pottage,
yam pottage.
bakes, yam...
What else brings with it? Yogurt. Yeah, yogurt. I would have won it either way anyway.
Why?
So, anyway, you lasted 3 seconds.
No way
So,
that counts.
on the leaderboard. You'll be happy to know that right now you are in first place.
But do you know what's funny? Is that like, yellow peppers was correct and you threw me off. Like
Yellow peppers?
Yes.
Isn't, no,
Is that not edible?
but the thing is pepper.
Is that not edible?
Otherwise, the peppers was edible.
No,
Do you know
but
what I
they're
mean?
used for different things though.
No, but like it's just called
You wouldn't use
pepper.
yellow pepper to make stew, would you?
I can. It would look mad, but I can. Use
Right.
It.
So
I can.
the
use
different.
it.
Well, it's edible though.
I can't lie. You lasted 3
Wow.
seconds, but you are in first place.
Let them
right
comment
now.
below who's right.
Do you get what I mean?
think I'm right.
Exactly. Comment
think I'm
below
right.
whether you think that's a disqualification.
That's hateration.
Or not. But let's dive into it. When was the last time you said, nope, I'm out?
In a meaningful way.
Yeah, and just the last time.
Last time.
Yeah.
I'll say maybe November last year.
So this is just because people don't know when we're recording.
Oh yeah, sorry. November 2021.
Oh wow, that was very recent. Oh wow.
But then what's funny is like I said in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
I said it and I was like, nah, I'm not actually out.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
So startup life is hard, right?
Yeah.
And was building a product with some friends. And I think the market dynamics changed, team dynamics changed, and the energy just felt a bit different. I was like, I don't think this is where I should be investing my time. And then finally addressed it and said, actually, do you know what? I think I do want to continue this. So I said, nope, I'm out, but then kind of didn't really leave and then continued.
Interesting. That's interesting because I think like I've also been like in the startup space. I'm still in the startup space now, and I said, nope, I'm out in the startup world very recently as well. I can't say it's for the same reasons, definitely not team dynamics, but certainly market. Mine was more so like there were market threats, basically, like from a legal perspective, and that can either be a moat or like an absolute disaster, basically. And I'm not like a policymaker, so that's definitely something that contributed to me. But I feel like saying nope, I'm out is not like a moment in time. It's like a gradual thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know if there's a game. There's a game I used to play. I think it's either horse. I think it's horse. It's like a basketball game or something where you used to have to like shoot and like spell the letters. So I think it was called horse, but it may be called something else like all across the world. And the reason why I'm saying it is because like it kind of reminds me of just the whole nope, I'm out concept in a sense. It's like there are things, and then you kind of add a letter to the board until you just spell.
It's not instant.
You get what I mean? Until you just spell nope, like I'm out of here, like I'm not staying in this like anymore. But November is very recent, so is that like the first time you've said nope, I'm out? What was like the earliest?
Earliest? Oh, there's so many nope, I'm out.
Yeah,
like,
I know my earliest.
But there's sometimes like, is nope, I'm out of things that never even started, but things that maybe mentally committed to.
Yeah, but you might have gone through the journey mentally of like, okay, what would this look like? And
so
like,
I went to be Prime Minister at one point.
Interesting.
And then I analysed the dynamics and I was like, actually, nah. I wanted to like work for the government and change policy and like help people from a policy perspective. And then I worked for the government and I was like, nope, definitely not for me. So like there's been times where I committed to something. I was like, actually, I tried it out, learned a bit more.
But you actually did get experience, like
in the government one, definitely.
Yeah.
But the Prime Minister
what was that like? What is that? As in, there's like a scheme, like civil service.
Yeah, I did a civil service
Interesting.
internship. And I was in a department that was, I was in the Department of Transport actually. And I learned they'd been talking about HS2 for like 8 years before I joined. I said, sorry, talking. And they started talking about the dynamics of how the mapping changes based on each cycle of MPs that come in. I was like, so when are we going to actually like do the thing?
So just to kind of clarify, it's like, depending on like the actual lawmakers and policymakers, the actual direction of
they redraw the pathway because they're like, oh no, this is favourable this way or this will help their community. So I was like, okay, so you agreed this was needed 8 years ago. This is 8 years before I joined. HS2 is still not existing. This is
the reason why I feel what you're saying is, I won't even say where I'm from, but where I'm from is very close to where the Crossrail is meant to pass through. That Crossrail started, they closed my bus stop because they were building that Crossrail when I was 16 years old.
Crazy.
I won't tell you how old I am now. I just know time has passed. Time has passed. So I fully, to be fair, right now I can see the train on the track is just not moving. Do you get what I mean? So, but I probably feel you there. As in like the feedback loop is like,
crazy slow. And for me, I found that crazy shocking. So I was like, nope, I'm out. Like, and I was in like, nope, I'm out from the public sector entirely at that point actually. It was just being a policymaker as a civil servant wasn't, in my view, the best way to make the change I wanted to see.
And in your opinion, the best has a lot to do with like the pace.
Pace and scale, I think. But those two things, they matter. Because even if you're trying to do something really, really big, and like it's going to take you 15 years. Like if someone's average career is 40 years, you spend 8 years talking about HS2, how many are you going to spend? It's still not done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like...
But I heard it's not... Anyway, I don't really know. You know what I mean? These are just newspapers. I'm hardly like an insider. But like, I heard there was a budget thing as well. Like,
many different things. But I think what I saw wasn't a budget constraint.
Yeah.
What I saw was...
bureaucracy.
Yeah, game playing, if that makes sense. Which again, I understand. Like, you don't have to commit to what your predecessor agreed on. You're like, well, they agreed on this, not me. I'm changing it. Which always just meant like cycles and cycles of endless conversation as opposed to like genuine action and impact. So for me, I was like, I don't know if this is space for me to actually make a change. So I was like, nope, I'm out.
That's really interesting. Like, because the earliest time in my life that I remember that I said nope, I'm out was to grammar school. So
11.
Yeah, 11 plus. So my parents wanted me to do the 11 plus. And my teacher wanted me to do the 11 plus as well. And I didn't do it for such a funny reason, like genuinely. And I am still glad. I am still glad I didn't do it because I really enjoyed like my state school experience and everything. But quite literally, at least in my head, I kind of looked at the kinds of people that were going to state school and I felt like I identified with them a lot more than the kinds of people that were going to grammar school, basically. And that's what I will say about that.
Fair.
The bottom line is that like I just felt like I wouldn't have as much fun because I've always been like a class clown. Like I don't want to give up that career anytime soon. Do you get what I mean? Like even at 10
Not even
years
a
old,
career.
I knew 100% like I need to get this joke. Like I need to get these jokes off.
Fair,
Do you get what I'm trying to say? And so like I just didn't want it to get in the way of my banter. Do you get what I mean? Because I think, and the funny thing is, it might seem like it's not important, but just
Well, you need yourself.
Exactly. At that age, I just felt like if you take this part of me away, regardless of whether the world that I'm talking about actually exists, by the way, but if you take that part of me away, I just felt like I'd be very, very unhappy. Even at 10, I knew. Do you get what I mean? And so I just said, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not doing this, basically. I ended up at a grammar school anyway, which was probably why my parents even allowed me to do that. So it kind of looked like they were like on my side, but they were just like, we'd give this one a couple of years, basically. And then she's going right back to where we wanted to go. But that was like the earliest form like of it. And even as I'm thinking about it, one of the reasons why I asked the question is because I feel like the nope, I'm out stuff is like exercise. It's like the more you do it, you don't realize all of these links are connected.
True,
You don't realize that you're saying no throughout your life to like different things. You get what I mean? But I just feel like it makes it a lot easier to say no as you kind of grow up. So that was the last time. The policy thing was the earliest time you said.
Earliest
So-
meaningful time in my adult age, kind of like earliest meaningful time.
So I know personally that like you did an internship at, can I mention?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, at Bloomberg. And everyone should know Bloomberg. And that was like, it was like a time in your life where you were still in education.
Yeah, I'd actually finished final year that
Okay.
that was the internship between, it was after graduation basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not used to
Yeah,
those.
I was a nut job at uni.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so how did it go?
So
Are you at Bloomberg now?
that's a funny question. So no, I do not. I don't work at Bloomberg anymore. So in my final year, randomly I got an email from someone at Bloomberg, and they said, "Oh, we're looking for Python engineers." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, I'll talk to you guys. Like, something to do in the summer. Like, I don't like being idle, and I don't think any experience is bad experience." And at that point in time, I was kind of doing my research. Actually,
There are a couple of experiences that would like qualify as bad experience.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, you know what?
You could have been doing other things with your time.
I agree. But in
But
that
I
moment in
get what you
time,
mean.
it was like something to do in the summer, something to learn. And my research thesis at the time was to do with financial data anyway. And I'd been messaging Bloomberg to say, hey, can I get some data for my thesis? Can I get some? And airtime. No one was replying. So when this recruiter replied, I was like, this could actually be a cool strategy to play. So when my interview wasn't really an interview, like I went with my laptop and showed them what I was building.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, do you want to come work here in the summer? I was like, yeah, sure.
So none of the, tell me a time you were
No,
under
there was no
pressure.
tell me a time. It was just literally just like, oh, so how does that work? How did you arrive at that conclusion? What, like, we were just literally talking through my dissertation at that point. And for context, it was like quantum computing for financial portfolio optimization. So
I'm not going to pretend like I know what you're talking about.
just taking super fast
But
computers.
if you know what he's talking about, and comment below in it, like, because I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just helping financial people make smarter decisions, but faster. That was like, the premise. And they have a lot of data. I feel like they're one of the largest financial data holding companies in the world kind of vibe, right? So I was just really nerdy and was like, oh my God, like this would be a real good synergy. So they were quite helpful with my thesis, which I was very grateful for. So I went there in the summer. But then I realized I went there, I'd finished my thesis. Like,
Yeah.
I'd graduated from uni.
Job done kind of
Job
thing.
done.
Yeah.
And I went there in the summer, and it was good to like continue exploring my thesis, but I feel like my interests evolved. And being super transparent, I had a grad job lined up already. And I was like, I would actually not take a break from my whole thesis, because I finished uni like 28th of June or something, started work 4th of July. Like there was no break in between. And I was on a quant team, hours were long, and I was like, I'm actually gonna start my grad job tired. And I also had other startup stuff on the side. I was like, this non-stop life is actually doesn't make sense. And I actually like evaluate, is this a good use of my time? And I thought going into my grad role I would just be better entering that well rested. And there were a few things about like the culture that I didn't really vibe with. So I just kind of say like, yeah, no, I'm out. And do you know what? I also didn't want to spend, I was feeling the culture like that anyway. And then my birthday was coming up, and I was like, I don't want to spend my birthday in a place where I'm not really feeling the
The
vibe.
vibe, right?
And I was
You
like,
need
do
the
you know
vibe,
what?
it's your
I
birthday.
think it was like 3 weeks on my birthday. I was like, nope, I'm out.
So because your birthday was coming up,
Yeah.
and you didn't want to spend it in the office,
Yeah.
you thought, you know what,
Nope,
I'm out of this.
Yeah. It was a 10-week internship actually, and I think if I finished on a Friday, I'll have started my grad role on a Monday. So I would just a weekend, which is not the worst thing in the world. I was like, do you know what? I think I deserve a break beforehand.
Yeah.
So I took it.
Yeah. I find it interesting that like rest is one of the biggest reasons why people usually say, nope, I'm out, because you just find that like you're burnt out, you're worn out. And that kind of sounds like what you're describing when you say your birthday was coming up. Because on the surface level, it's like, did he just quit his job because he wanted to blow candles? You get what I mean? Like, but it's probably a lot more than that, like, as in
100% more. I think the birthday thing was like surface level, but at the same time as interning that summer, I was also working on a startup idea with some friends, and I started the amount of I'll do like 3 hours worth of work, and it just felt more meaningful at the startup than like the 9.5, 10 hours worth of work I was doing.
What does meaning mean for you? As in, you enjoyed it a lot more?
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot more, and I also felt like it was actually trying to change something. I felt like the work I was doing at Bloomberg was great. I was learning a lot coding wise. I think I grew as an engineer in that period. But I was just more excited and I enjoyed what I was doing outside a bit more. So I had to ask myself, like, where do I want to spend my time? So as I was taking a break to celebrate my birthday, I was actually also taking a break to put more time into what I cared about.
On your birthday?
During that period, yeah.
Right.
During that period, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I found that really, really interesting. I think, obviously, finishing uni already puts you in a certain headspace anyway, because you've come to the end of like one journey, basically. And I can imagine like that would shape the way you think about like journeys moving forward. Ultimately, you're already super tired. Like university is
draining,
just long.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you study, regardless of where you study, it's one of the longest kind of like academic periods, like in terms of intensity, like that we've probably ever been in, right? And so kind of coming out of that to go straight into an internship, that sounds really tough, and something I definitely know like quite a lot about it, because I think I graduated on the 22nd of July 2019, and that was the day that my grad job started, basically. So I remember thinking, okay, if I go to Nottingham at a certain time, I can make it back on time, basically, like to Canary Wharf. Needless to say, I didn't go back. No, I didn't go back that day. Do you get what I mean? But to be fair to them, to the bank I was working at, they let you take your graduation day off if it kind of coincided with like, you know, the start of the program and everything. But I literally just realized that like, oh no, this is it. Like, this is it.
It's real life.
Yeah, this is it. Like, and it's unlike your internship. This was like my grad job. Do you get what I mean? So quite literally, you throw the hat up. By the time it comes down, I'm on my way back to Canary Wharf.
Back to the desk.
You get what I'm trying to say? So that was crazy. Like, I had work the next day. Do you get what I mean? Like, and so I think even that dynamic makes you think differently about what you're doing. And eventually I'd end up quitting that anyway, not least because I was tired. Even from just like describing that transition now, of course I was going to be very, very tired. And I think you and I have had like very unique like university experiences in the sense that we didn't just go to university, study, and then like kind of graduate. Like we did several internships, we had different kind of experiences, whether it's like occupational or like sports or anything like that. Like we took part in a lot. And so when you do cross that stage, obviously it's an exciting time, but there's just a lot of like, thank God that is done. Like, as in like, thank God. I remember crossing the stage just being like, first of all, it took bare long to say my name because my name is not what I told.
That's actually very boring.
Hold on, wait. Have I said my name for this episode? I didn't say my name.
You did not.
You guys are talking to a stranger. Sorry. My name is Debs, right? And just again, go again. Ayo, yeah? Debs and Ayo. Sorry, I didn't even introduce myself, but I'm the host, right? Anyway, so for me, I've crossed this stage now. They took long to say my name because my name is long. My name is long. My English name is my last name. Like the rest of my names are Nigerian. So bless the poor soul that had to read all of these things out. Like, but they did well. Like I
Did you
remember
get an email asking you to teach them how to say
yes,
phonetically?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really good. That
Yeah.
was really good
They
because
still butchered it sometimes for some people.
yeah, I know, but it is quite. One thing I can say about my names, they are difficult. Like as in like syllable wise, there are loads of syllables in there, loads of syllables and letters in there. Like so, I felt for them. You know what I mean? But obviously, you cross the stage and then you're like, okay, like
That's it.
this is it. Do you get what I mean? And then for me, I had to go back. Like I was going, back to Canary Wharf to work and everything, and you get exhausted, and like that exhaustion, weirdly enough, at least for me, was an opportunity to just kind of think like, how am I feeling about this whole thing right now? Do you get what I mean? Like, and I don't think it's the case where, at least maybe it's something I can ask you in terms of, do you think if you took a break before you did Bloomberg, you wouldn't have quit Bloomberg, for example? Just kind of like coming straight out of university, if you had that break right afterwards, would that have affected like your decision-making process?
It's a good question. And I'm not sure. Because truthfully, if I took that break, I think I'll just continue working in the startup idea with my friends. And then I would not even want to now go start a Bloomberg at all. Because I'll be like, we already have a flow here, there's a velocity going. And I think what was also stressful in that moment is like, my other two co-founders were kind of also working full-time on this. And I was the only one not. At that point in time, I was the most technical person on the team.
What's that like? Because that's interesting. Because I've been on the other side where like I'm working like full time on a startup, and like my co-founder is either in and out of like education or like they're in like full time work basically. And I know exactly what that was like for me.
To be fair, they were very understanding, especially because initially we thought there might be some synergies, some learnings about like data at a larger scale and lots of different things. I thought like there might be
from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, like we're trying to do some financial data stuff in the crypto space at that time. So we thought there might be some learnings here. So everyone thought this was a fair and a good idea, and then realized actually no, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And then at the point where we all agree it's not a good idea, we said like just come focus on this full time basically.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think one of the other reasons why I'd imagine a lot of people pursue a career like that or an experience like that, knowing that they've got something else on the side that they're interested in, is purely financial. A lot of the time, it's like for you to even be able to comfortably work on this other thing, you must have had like some sort of savings somewhere, because, and usually most people anyway don't come out of university like
With savings,
up, right? As in like
down, negative.
as in, like, you've lost quite a bit of money, like you know what I mean. And so I think all of these factors kind of play into it. But I think what's interesting, what you're saying, is that the startup, which I'm definitely going to give you time to like definitely kind of speak about, because I just think it's like super, super interesting, especially where it's at right now. You did take things from Bloomberg, like even if it's like marketing wise, for example, or if it's just like the narrative, for example, that like helped you on your startup journey. So it'd be cool for you to kind of like share that as well.
Do you know what's so funny is I was very intentional by trying to learn about crypto, trying to learn about data at scale whilst at Bloomberg. And it was very obvious that there was no crypto appetite. In fact, like it was almost like I remember one of the chair or co-chairs of Bloomberg laughing at me when I asked a question in the internship cohort about like his views on crypto. Yeah. And I can't remember the words he said, but I remember he mocked me. Yeah. And I was like, damn, I'll show you. Like that one it hit me differently, because it was funny. All the other interns laughed, and I was like, like are you laughing because it's funny, or are you laughing because you also believe crypto is just like not this real thing? Yeah. And what's funny, and I was like, Bloomberg is actually trying to ramp up their crypto game.
Yeah, 100%. So that's always how the story
ends. Who's laughing now?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was very intentional about trying to learn. I think the most interesting maybe now is like people call Crypto Central like the Bloomberg for crypto. Yeah. And then there's like little silence. Me and my co-founders have is like, but better. Yeah. You know, it's like, but better. You know, it's like we had this vision way before Bloomberg even woke up to think crypto was a thing. I think if there's anything I took away from this, actually maybe how not to be as a company, like when you get big. Yeah. There was this like we're not going to look at this. Our way works. You know, which I think like if you want to be truly innovative, you can never think that way. Yeah. Just because something is not part of your core way of doing things doesn't mean you should never explore it. And it's, 2-3 years later, they're actually not taking it quite seriously. Yeah. And I just find it ironic because whatever a company at that scale started with probably was quite unorthodox at the time. And then somewhere along the way, they kind of lose that kind of like
novelty or just that kind of innovation. And I just think it's probably like economies of scale of like, as in...
What's weird, but it wasn't even like a public company though. Like it was quite privately owned. So I would have expected that the innovation culture continued.
It's quite difficult though when you have so many competing like incentives.
Interest,
like,
yeah.
when you get that big, it's very difficult to like, as in, unless there's like, I know for example like Google, there was like a moonshot type of like team and everything, unless it's like a dedicated team, which maybe it exists and everything, but I just feel like the larger you get, the more kind of bureaucratic like the whole thing
harder,
is.
100%.
And then there's just more people up the chain that you have to kind of like,
influence and manage and convince.
Exactly, and dance for and everything. And so,
but all in all, I'm actually great for the experience though. 100% great for the experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's important to say. Because I think when people quit things on the outside, it just looks like, this person was just like so disappointed with their time and they didn't enjoy it at all. And I think it's probably a good opportunity to say as well, because I think I've spoken about like quitting banking on previous episodes and everything. And whilst it definitely wasn't for me, there were some things that I did engage in that I thought like, oh, like that's crazy. So for example, I can definitely say it now because the deal was falling through and it's public knowledge, but LV and Tiffany and Co. and like them coming together, those companies coming together, that was crazy. As in like kind of knowing that before everybody else, for example. And fair enough, first of all, you don't get any earrings or jewelry. That was mad disappointing because I think apparently back in the day, like if you did a deal, like they actually used to give you gifts and everything. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But now we're just doing it, for money and whatnot. Fair enough. But just even like looking at things like that, knowing things like that beforehand. For example, I remember speaking to a friend who is still in the finance profession, and he knew about the Super League before everybody else, basically, because I think it was JP Morgan that provided the financing for that, right? And so it's things like that, like that's still interesting. Fair enough, not every day is like a LV Tiffany and Co day, but like these things happen in the real world that you kind of like contribute to. So I don't want to make it look like, oh yeah, it was all doom and gloom. I didn't enjoy it, and it definitely was doom and gloom, but like no, it definitely was. It wasn't for me. Like at all. I have other interests, but that's not to say that there aren't things about it that other people may really like. Or
sometimes it's not even the way it's the people too, Like I actually had a very, like the co-intern that I was with, she was genuinely, I learned so much from her. And like most times in other internships I've done, I've learned from like more senior colleagues and not peers. And this was the first time I was like, oh my goodness, like my pay is hard. Like I learned a lot from her.
Yeah, I agree. I think the team is like, really, really important as well. It's not enough to stay if you're not interested, which is obviously what we've both seen, but I think it helps. It helps 100%, basically. 100%. So, okay, you do Bloomberg. You quit how long? How long into the internship?
I think I had like 2 weeks left.
Oh, okay. How long was the internship?
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
So
okay.
I finished 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I think that was all I had in me, to be fair, at that point.
Well, you had a lot in you. I mean, it was nearly finished.
That was all I had in me.
Yeah.
Because exam season was tough. Just finished exam season, rolled straight into work. Like similar to you, actually. I took a day off for my graduation. I took my graduation day off. Or was it? Did I even go half day? I think my graduation was an afternoon. I went to work in the morning.
Because you went to a London university, right?
Yeah. So left work, got on the train, went to thing, put my gown on, and went back.
Yeah.
I think that's actually what I did on that day. And yeah, I did 8 weeks, left.
How did you leave though?
That was my first serious experience quitting. So I went on Google and I researched how to
wait,
write.
was this on their internet? Like
No. No.
Just at the desk.
Not that silly. No, I think I did it at home or on the train somewhere.
Yeah.
And I found this. Someone's like, you have to do it very unemotionally.
So what is this, like Quora?
It might be WikiHow, somewhere. I don't remember where it was. But wherever it is, like shout out to them. Because I feel like
WikiHow, 7 steps.
Right? I think I would have given such a story like, oh my God, I'm just tired. I was like, truthfully, I didn't feel like I need to give a story.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and that's enough.
Yeah.
According to my contract, I have to give you X number of days of notice. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. Yeah. I'll hand over my responsibility. Like, honestly, like that template, I have to share it with my friends. You
shared it with me. It's a template that I use to quit my job.
It's a very efficient template.
If you need the template, comment below. We can share that with you.
It's a very efficient template. And it's
It's very brief.
Yeah, it's also like very unemotional. So no one can like manipulate you emotionally. So you can't say, "Oh, I'm tired." They'll be like, "Okay, let's give you a break." Like if you've made your mind up, you don't want to be like re-influenced. If that makes sense. So I wrote that, shared it with my mum, reviewed it with me, prayed over it with me, and then the day I wanted to like submit it because I counted the days. Like I planned it around my birthday, right? So I counted the days. I was like, if I submit it on this, I don't know if it was a Tuesday. I don't know what day it was. But when I was going to submit it, like the HR person wasn't in the office, so she didn't want to accept it until she was in the office. I was like, I kind of need to like acknowledge it from today, you know. Like I've got birthday plans. I want to sleep. I want to rest. So they came the next day, and then they actually didn't. They said I don't have to like work through my
the notice period.
I could just like go. I was like, thank you. So yeah, no problem.
That is really interesting because you shared that template with me when I was leaving my banking job actually, and I think I just edited it a bit.
Change the name, change the address.
Yeah, but mine was definitely far more dramatic than that. I think I was crying. I think I was 100%. And I think the reason why is because, again, there is a slight difference between the internship and a full-time job, basically. Yeah. Especially a job that you're seeing as like something that's going to help your family and everything like that. And it's like you're earning way more than anybody else and all this kind of cool stuff. And it's like, if you just kind of stick to it and you work at it, like you can do it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? All this kind of stuff. And then I think I go to my manager's office, like, and my eyes are definitely red. I've got those eyes, 100%. I leave him the letter, and I think he was on a call, basically, and then he just puts the phone down. I remember he just puts the phone down, and then he's like,
was it an envelope or just print it out?
No, it was an envelope.
Okay.
It was an envelope, basically. And then they took me to. It was either dinner or lunch or something like that, basically.
Fine dining.
Yeah, and it was and I think one thing I'm really proud to say is that like I can never say it's like, oh yeah, because it was because my boss was this or that. Like till today, I still speak to him. Like as in like that I had like amazing leaders. Like just as leaders, one thing he said to me was that it was very comforting. He said something that was very comforting, just kind of approving of the decision. Like he basically said that he knows like genuinely that like whatever it is that I go and do, that like he knows that I'll do well like with it, and like if it's a company I should let him know, that type of thing. And it's like I could tell he wasn't just like saying it. And he was like visibly disappointed like in like the fact that I was kind of just walking away. And I think the other thing is that especially with banking is that you kind of have known your bosses for a while, even before you join. So that was the boss I had on my internship in 2018. I've seen him again in 2019. I think I met him in 2017 when I did the initial program as well. And so this is somebody I have known.
Deep relationships,
yeah, exactly. And so it's somebody that respects you and you respect them and everything. So I think the weight of all of that was super, super emotional. But I did that, and I think I went home that day. And I went home that day. And I think the whole way home, I just cried the whole way home. For like a week, I just mourned that version of myself, basically. Wow. Then after that, it was lit. But like, at that point, it was nuts.
What was the tear? Why are you mourning that?
Oh no, I was crying. Because the thing is, like, I think if you're like a first generation immigrant or anything of the sort, like that job is not for you. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, as in like, it's for several, do you get what I'm trying? Several things. And then aside like the whole financial aspect, right? Like this is a career that like you have pursued for a long. Banking is not something you just wake up one day and do. Like my spring week was years ago. Do you get what I mean? Do you get what I mean? The competition was this, and do you get what I mean? There's all these other things. So it's like you've prepared this persona like in your mind for a while. So it's like there's a part of you that like almost kind of dies basically. So it's kind of like mourning like that part like of you basically. So that was just super, super sad. And I think it's just like disappointment, like as in like feeling like you're disappointing people. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like people that look like you that are coming afterwards, or as in people that have come before, like just feeling like you've disappointed people, like you've let people down. And I think that wasn't the first time that I felt that way, to be fair, but it was happening again, basically. The first time I felt that way was when I got into university, and I didn't go to the university I initially wanted to go to. So I think it's yeah, those two moments like were just like, yeah, I don't like disappointing people in that sense. But on the other side of that journey is like you kind of realize that like, okay, are you happy with this decision? As in, okay, people want this for you and people want that for you, but as in,
what do you want for
exactly? Because at the end of the day, like you're not doing my DCFs, like, as in like you're not there with me, 4 a.m. when I'm leaving the office in the cab. As in I have to bear the consequences of like my life basically, and so like all this disappointment does not compare to like the life that I will have to live.
Exactly.
Do you get what I mean? I didn't want to be resentful because I see that in like some people as well in terms of like if you've lived somebody else's life, then you become a very bitter person because it's like you just feel like you have just role played your whole life for someone else basically, and so I didn't want to be that kind of person basically, and so that was tough. So yeah, mine was definitely way more like EastEnderish than yours.
I feel like also when you were quitting.
Yeah.
I was quitting for 2.5 weeks. Before starting my grad job.
Yeah,
I feel like that one there was a bit. Context was a bit different. Also, I feel like my parents, friends, family, everyone was super supportive, understanding. I was like, I think even before starting at Bloomberg, I knew I was gonna like take the return offer anyway. So again, all that context was there. So it was again way less dramatic than yours.
But then you go to the grad job, and if you don't mind saying like where that was, what industry that was. Yeah,
in. So it was big tech, one of the big tech companies in the world. Like I was super again, like it was nuts because I was so grateful for that opportunity.
And we both worked at that company. yeah, we did. Yeah,
you before me. Yeah, we did, and like it was an amazing experience. And like how when you quit something, you can't. You look back, I actually have nothing bad to say about the company.
Yeah.
Like I still tell my friends, go apply. Like
just for the viewers, like that may not know what big tech means, we can say the group of companies that come under. Yeah, FANG. Exactly. So Facebook, Amazon, Netflix.
I mean, it must be called Mang now, right? Because Facebook's Meta.
Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to, call it. Amazon, Netflix, Google. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Was there not another A? Apple.
Yeah, it's Apple, Amazon.
Apple, Amazon, yeah. So it's like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, and Google. So
Microsoft, I don't know how Microsoft didn't make it to that list.
Yeah, no, Microsoft definitely needs it, but it's just because it doesn't like.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Exactly. I think that's what it is.
I mean, now that Meta no, ignore it.
Mang. Yeah.
Double M.
Exactly. So it's one of these companies, basically. So, okay, so you end up working at one of these companies, very prestigious. Yeah. Especially as an engineer.
Yeah. I was on the cloud team, so it was dope. And I was learning a lot. Like, to a point where actually at some points in that journey, was like, I really want to double down and focus and learn. And maybe I should invest my time focusing on my day job and come back and do the startup thing later. So
you were still at this point, whilst you're at this big tech company,
still working
still kind of dabbling on the startups. Yeah.
But this like is weird, right? In tech, when it says 9 to 5, it's actually 9 to 5. Like you can actually turn off your laptop at 5 and nobody will fight you. So I had way more time in the evenings to like meet up with my co-founders and work and collaborate on things. So in that point, I didn't feel like I was sacrificing much. Yeah. My sleep was always been rubbish since uni anyway. So like getting the same amount of sleep, now working, but doing 2 meaningful things that I really enjoyed. Didn't feel, I don't know, it felt more doable than when I was at Bloomberg.
Is that because it directly linked to what you were doing in that startup? In terms of like you were an engineer at this big tech company, you were an engineer in this, were you coding in like the same language or like were there skills?
No. I think it was just, I'd mentally checked out of Bloomberg. I'd mentally checked out very early. I was a big tech company I was working at the time, and the work I was doing, they were just both genuinely enjoyable to me. Yeah. I think so. There's an enjoyment factor. This might sound selfish, but like I feel like you should enjoy what you're doing. Yeah. Especially if you want to do it long term.
100%.
So I was enjoying what I was doing in the big tech. I was enjoying what I was doing in the startup, and like to a point where I was like, should I pause the startup thing and double down? Because I know there were certain things that I could have done outside of work to like accelerate my learning and development. But even at the pace I was learning, that people were still impressed at work, and I was just like, I know, like
that's dangerous though, isn't it?
I know.
When you're doing like the bare minimum and people are impressed.
To be fair, it wasn't the bare minimum.
Not bare minimum, but you're not putting your all into it. So first of all, they don't know, how good you actually are. Yeah. And they're singing your praises. But also you actually have no physical evidence for how good you it's all in your head about how good you are. Do you get what I mean?
There was some like cloud engineering courses that I took. Like the first 3-ish months I was there. I got like 98% on like 3 exams. And they were like, oh my goodness, first try? I was like, yeah, first try.
Yeah.
And that was like cool. And like also I feel like really early when I came in, I like set like a really high benchmark of performance for myself. So that kind of, in days where like I'd pulled an all-nighter on the startup stuff, like the good days I had just carried me through, if that makes sense. And I know that's not who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be a coaster. Which is why I was thinking, I had a dilemma actually of, so it wasn't really nope, I'm out, but I was maybe when you start putting the N on the board.
A couple letters were going up on the board.
But like I genuinely enjoyed both things. So that was quite tough. But then I'll say 13 months in, I was like, okay, I think it's time. Being super transparent, I had a savings goal in my head for when I was going to leave corporate anyway. So like before I even started Bloomberg after graduating, I had an 18-month deadline, which is December 2020. Is that right? Yeah, December 2020.
Yeah.
All corporate done. Startup full time.
Okay.
I'd mapped out the.
Is that because of any kind of like issues with authority?
Nope.
Because the reason why I asked is because I feel like everybody always thinks that people that quit stuff, like they can't listen to people.
No.
They don't listen to people, and you know what I mean?
It's
like,
actually so sad when you have great leaders. Like when I worked in banking as an engineer, I had in fact, two excellent people teaching me.
So we need to talk about this because I'm sure for the people listening, this timeline is sounding strange.
Sounding nuts, yeah.
So Bloomberg happens just after university.
Graduated.
Yeah.
My
When does
engineering
this big tech?
Oh, it happens like 2 weeks after I leave Bloomberg.
Okay, cool. And then now you're talking about being
Banking.
an engineer in a bank.
That was my second year summer.
Okay, we'll come back.
So I was just talking about leadership in general.
Yeah.
But I had two great leaders there. And leaving, that was difficult because like I actually liked them. Then even in big tech, I had excellent bosses and excellent peers. Like everybody on my team was actually cool.
Yeah.
They were not my age, like a couple years older than me or whatever, but like I could sit down with them and talk about anything for hours. So leaving that was actually quite tough. But 13 months in, I made a decision to, again, nope, I'm out.
Yeah.
But that was because I was approaching my savings goal of when I was like, okay, this is the time to start building things for myself and like products I want to see in the world. I felt like I'd learned enough at that point. I felt like the business clarity from like a business qualification perspective was there. The market opportunity was there. The timing was like now. I was like, it would be daft to not make a move now. Now, being super transparent at that point, I didn't 100% hit my savings goal, and I decided to go and take another job.
Whilst you were at this company?
No, I'd left. So I'd resigned from big tech.
Okay.
Started another role.
Okay.
So
how was that resignation then? Because this is now.
Do you know what? I struggled to use the same template because I was actually emotionally invested in my role and in the people I was with. So I think this one was a more conversational approach. And then I still use the same template, but I struggled with it. I almost didn't identify with the resignation letter because I'm like, I want to tell you more. I want to. Yeah. But then when I told people like, hey, like I want to go back into engineering and building things. Yeah. Everybody was so supportive. In fact, like they were like, oh my goodness, like, do you want us to like refer you internally? I was like, nah, actually, I want to build my own products in the ways I want to see fit and stuff. And everybody was so supportive. Like again, like kind of like you two today, I still talk to my team. Yeah. Like they're all super cool, all super supportive. If I have things I want them to review for me code-wise, like sometimes people will do it for me. You know, like super supportive team, super supportive team.
That's amazing, honestly, because I think like again, the narrative is that like you quit something like that and then it's like just chaos, basically, as in like people are sending you all sorts of strange messages and you know all this kind of weird things, and it can end amicably, like you know what I mean. And I think like that's really important to say. There's something you said earlier that I definitely want to talk about. So you were saying you feel like people have to enjoy what they're doing, basically.
For longevity, yes.
Yeah. So you enjoyed what you were doing and you still quit.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So I think it's important to just kind of like, just kind of sit on this for a minute, because like, just because you enjoy something now does not now mean when you're presented with new information, you know, that you should kind of like continue doing that. And I think the reason why I want to talk about like enjoyment and everything, like in terms of just like occupational settings and everything, is because one thing I think that's coming through that's definitely true with me is that like I found out like quite early on in life that if I don't enjoy something, I physically cannot do it. Yeah. As in there's no money.
Incentivize me.
You can't incentivize me, you can't pay, there's no amount of money you'll pay me.
100.
There's nothing you'll say, free healthcare, free this, free that, like as in there's nothing to get and honestly like the reason why it's kind of like I want to speak about it is because being that type of person, because not everybody's like that, first of all. Like, not everybody's like that. Some people have a number, there's something you can, that's not to say, if anybody's thinking, maybe around that billion mark, there's things I can do.
But you know what, even then, you know, it's only for, after a while,
but this is what I'm
it
saying.
wears
But
off.
this is what I'm saying. So for me, it's like, jokes aside, genuinely, for me, I just kind of realized it was really hard for me to kind of recognize that that's the kind of person that I am, because part of me was like, why can't I just be like these people? Like, they obviously don't like what they're doing, but they just kind of stomach through it. Are they more disciplined than me? Am I, you know, like, am I reckless? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, as in, like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? And so I think that was really difficult to kind of go off of. And then what's also difficult as well is that, like, and obviously we're going to speak about the startup that you're in right now, and it's crypto. It's a crypto startup. So right now, crypto is going crazy and everything. And the reason why I think it relates to what we're saying now is because if you're that kind of person that has to do things that they're passionate about, the FOMO that you will feel is kind of insane if you don't manage it. Because a lot of things can be like passing you by in terms of like, okay, crazy things are happening in crypto, or something crazy is happening in real estate, or there's some crazy thing that people are doing or whatnot. But if you at that time are not interested in it, then there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. And there's a part of you, at least for me, that sometimes feels like, what's wrong with you? As in, why can't you see?
Can't you fake the interest?
Yeah, can't you see that there's an opportunity here? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, can't you forget that you're not interested in it and just press on and just move forward? And I think that's actually, at least for me, been very difficult to deal with. Not now, but like, I'd say like 6-7 months ago, basically. So it's like, I think, yeah, like, because you kind of feel like you should be doing what, like, rationally makes more sense, but you yourself cannot just bring yourself to.
Do you know? So there's a concept that some VCs talk about when they're trying to invest in founders or invest in teams. They'll be like founder product fit or like founder market fit. So if the founder has just optimized that, oh, this, if you're like your doctor, health consultant, and you're like, oh, fintech is getting funded. So you said, I want to go start a fintech company. But like, you know nothing about fintech.
Everyone's doing it with crypto now.
You don't care about finance.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be, clearly, like, you're not the best person for this. But if, like, you know, your whole life, like, you started trading when you were 11, and now you're building, I don't know, like the South African version of free trade, because like you care so much about like trading technology, like there's a fit there. So like, I just think you should do what you enjoy, no matter how opportunistic it sounds. You can actually create opportunity in your own space.
100%.
You don't have to chase what is seemingly hot or seemingly popular, because if you do so, like, you end up also hating it. Like, you just end up like, I'm here now. Yes, the salary might be good. Yes, you might have raised, or yes, whatever's going on. But like, internally, you're not happy. You wake up resenting what you have to do. When it becomes time to like go the extra mile, like even your brain doesn't even think creatively, and you're not spontaneous. It doesn't come to you as naturally. It feels forced, and it's more draining. I don't know. Again, if you don't, it's not sustainable. But I think a lot of people, even though you have that, there's still pressure of what other people think. There's pressure of like, what if I'm wrong? So sometimes people want to take the safer option, which means they end up being in a situation that is not the most ideal, is not the most optimal. But they don't see a way out because they almost feel like they have to optimize for something else. And there's many factors why people might even feel that way. Finances might be another reason. It's like, look,
we definitely shouldn't downplay that as well. Like, that's a massive part.
Crazy part. Truthfully, I don't think I would have quit in December 2020 if I didn't hit my savings goal. Because for me, I wanted this space to be able to take, I knew this
more risk.
Yeah, exactly, and multiple times. So I hit the point where I was like, if I don't work for the next 3 years, I'm good. I'll leave my mother's house, humbly, but I'll leave my mother's house. Like, no bells and whistles, money to pay my phone bill, pay my Netflix, pay my Spotify, and just work in my room until something hits, right? I didn't want a situation where like 6 months in, I'm making suboptimal decisions because I'm running out of cash.
100%.
So I think, finance definitely plays an option.
Yeah, definitely. I think like I've definitely been in that scenario as well, where it's like you quit something, and then if you haven't saved, you start making decisions out of desperation, and it's like it can still work, but then the level of like just anxiety and stress that it takes to get there, it didn't need to be like that basically. And so I think that's like I think that's super important. Okay, so you resigned from that basically. You then get this other job
temporarily, 4 months only.
4 months only. And then resigned from that. And that was being an engineer like at a bank, basically. And then you resign from that to go full-time on the startup, which is where you are now. Did you want to just kind of speak about that startup, where it is now?
So 1st of January 2021, my first day going full-time startup. Like I had no corporate employer. I guess we became our own employers. And at that point in time, there's actually no cash in bank. So it was vibes and prayers at that point. But do you know what? I loved every moment of it. We spent time, we spoke to like, so much time to talk to, I had time to talk to customers in the actual working day, which, you know, sometimes you have to like appeal to people like, oh, can I do this? Or you have to talk to US customers so that it's when I've finished work,
that you can talk to
that
them.
I can talk to them.
Yeah.
But then you have people in Europe and like, out of respect or like time on your work calendar, you kind of also want to respect your employer, not like steal their time to go talk to your personal thing.
Yeah.
So that was like really, really useful for us. And then I think like March, we got into a accelerator program in the US called the Battery Angels. They ended up investing in us, which was like just super fantastic. Then later on, it was so crazy because like we'd sent our deck round and 500 startups came. And
500 startups. What
not
is
500 global. So 500 startups is one of the biggest tech accelerators in the world, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
And someone who we pitched to sent someone for 500 our deck, and then they were like, "Let's speak." So I'm there, myself and my co-founder were there trying to like pitch to him. He's like, "No, let me tell you why we can help you."
Yeah.
And like, obviously, me and my co-founder we have a chat. So I'm like thinking, is this
he joking?
Is this a joke? Like, are we being pranked?
Yeah.
And like, it was a 30-minute or maybe 45-minute conversation. He spent 30 minutes pitching why 500 was a good fit for us. And it goes like, then he ended up trying to train us. It's like, look, everyone's going to try and pitch you why they're the best. This is what you should look out for. You almost get like a scorecard, almost so selflessly. And I was like, this is the person I want to work with.
Yeah.
So we ended up taking the money from him, raised about $305,000 at that point. And finally, we would start paying ourselves. So I didn't have to dip into my savings for too long. And yeah, it's been like incredible ever since. So it was a team of 2 back then. So just myself and my co-founder. And now we're a team of 6. We have a front-end engineer who's built like a crypto exchange before, a senior quant engineer who's like a PhD in mathematics and computers, like literal like brain box, 2 designers. And
one
like,
called Deborah, right?
What? Yeah, one is also called Deborah.
I reckon she's killing it.
Yeah. Do you know what's crazy? She actually is.
100.
Her shipping velocity is mad. I don't know. There's something about Deborah's. So yeah, that's been genuinely incredible from a journey perspective. I think we've reached a point now where like we're launching soon, and like products come to market, and like it's very real. You
Amazing.
know, gearing up for our seed round as well. So like our pre-seed round, of course, we're calling it now. Yeah, that's just been truly amazing journey so far.
That's crazy. And I think there's definitely like, we definitely have to have like another episode where we talk about what it's even like to raise like venture capital, because we've both done that.
Banter.
And there's like a lot of interesting experiences, like even involved in that, what it's like to pay yourself a salary, what it's like to be like founding members like of like a startup. Like that's just like, I think that deserves its own
Season.
time basically. But definitely before we go, like where can they find like you, where can they find like the startup and everything?
Yeah, so startup wise, it's at Cryptcentra on everything. So that's CRY.
It'll be in the link below.
It'll be in the link, yes. Cryptcentra. Because you know what's funny? I think people put an L at the end. Cryptcentra. Yeah, so they think it's
Central.
Yes.
Oh.
Whereas there's no L at the end, it's Cryptcentra. So on Twitter, on Instagram, we don't really use Instagram like that, but like on LinkedIn, we're a B2B platform. So like Instagram didn't seem like a wise channel. So just double down on Twitter and LinkedIn. Personally, my social media is for banter and for laughing.
Just have to give the disclaimer now.
So if you just don't expect to see any crypto content, actually there is some crypto content, but like it's just there for jokes. But it's Famous Uncle on Twitter.
Amazing. I definitely just feel like I should give you like one last moment to give some advice to people that like are just in your position, either like thinking about quitting basically, or maybe have quit and they're not in this like euphoric stage that you're in at the moment. Like, as in, what would you say to them?
I think before you decide to quit,
have money.
One thing, yes, or have a way of supporting yourself. So there's some people who start up and then freelance on the side. So say for example, like you're dope designer, you can actually do your own thing, but like be freelance for startups as a thing. But that can become a bit distracting because you have to work on their timelines, and it also feels like you're doing another job. So I had friends who have tried that approach, and it was tedious for them, and I think it slowed down their shipping velocity. Something I'll say is like, you want to try and be in a place where if you don't already have a qualified opportunity, you give yourself time and cash flow and capital to be able to find that qualified opportunity. or if you have found one, make sure you've actually properly qualified it. Because if you jump ship and you realize afterwards it's not a qualified opportunity and you've not given yourself enough wiggle room to pivot or to think of something else, you can become quite stuck and frustrated, which can even make you think like, oh my God, I don't want to take a risk ever again. I think another thing is like, I'm a big believer in praying. Like you got to pray about it. Like it's so easy to say I want to jump because it sounds nice. And what's crazy, like news every day on TechCrunch of people raising.
Yeah.
And you look at them like they don't have two heads. Like I had that idea. You know, I had the idea for Deliveroo before it was Deliveroo. I was interning.
There's like 5 people that have told me that, by the way.
No,
that like they came up with Deliveroo
No,
before.
I was interning.
But I believe you, 100.
And one of the people at work was like, this was when I was at Lloyd's, I was still a GCSE time, shadowing someone. And it's like, I wish I could go pick up my laundry. I wish like I could go order X. I was like, no, why not do it? And then I realized everyone had the same problem. I was like, what if you all in this is just shared like a delivery person?
And then it would have collapsed into Deliveroo.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are more startup stories that that we can share on the next episode. Because if I leave you, I feel like
we'll go for days,
we can be here forever.
Yeah.
So I'm your host, Debs, and we have Ayo. And this is your favorite show with your favorite pajama people. Hopefully now we've inspired you to put your job, your experience, the situation you're in to bed. Good night.
I should have my own cup of coffee too.
Yeah, you should have had it. I don't know where yours was.
You didn't cue me up. You didn't tee me up.
Oh, sorry. You ain't been there before.